Hello everyone, it's me, Nikki, and today I'm here with the second part of books that I read in May. I keep forgetting it's May. I don't know why. Um, I- that's not important. What is important is I didn't read as many books as I said I was going to. Had like a reading slump early in the month, and I pushed myself hard to read all the books I did, and then I just ran out of steam and I couldn't read anymore. So I've finished. It's only 6 books, but plus the 8, that's math. So I'm not doing that in my head. Anyway, let's get started. The first book I have is Anne of Avonlea, the sequel to the Anne of Green Gables. And I didn't write notes for this one like I did the other ones because it's basically like slices of life on Avonlea and stuff happening to Anne either because of her or because of her students, and then her little adventures and stuff like that. It's just a cute little novel, and it just shows she's 16? 17. She's 16 at the start and 17 at the end, I think. Yeah. There was a chapter that I sort of skimmed because it was just her reciting letters that her students had written to her to somebody else, and I didn't find that part very interesting. What I thought was interesting was that her and Marilla sort of adopted these 2 twins, Davy and Dora. And Dora is, in the book, very plain, and she's just sort of there. And Davy is basically like Anne was when she was a kid, and they totally understood each other. But he was just a little shit. And there it obviously is some, as it was 1909, period typical sexism, like women belong in the kitchen. A man is in the kitchen and he doesn't know how to do anything. Oh my god. So it's a bunch of that, but whatever. It's a cute little book, and it says there's more, but I don't know if I'll read anymore. I don't own anymore, but I might pick them up off of thrift books or something. Next we have, let me take all my notes off, Swordspoint by Ellen Kushner. This is marketed as a fantasy novel. It is not. It's more of like a historical what if, because there's no kings or anything. There's lords and ladies and dukes and duchesses, but they're on some sort of I don't know, what are they called, committees type things. And this particular book is about politics, sort of. The main character is Richard St. Vere, and he is a swordsman because the rich don't actually duel each other. They hire other people to do it, and Richard is the very best. He's never lost. He has a partner, a boyfriend, Alec, and Alec is the only one that he fights for free. Everyone else who wants Saint Vere to fight for them must pay him. Alec is like, that man was mean to me, and Saint Vere just goes and kills him. And there's some intrigue because Alec has a hidden past. There is trigger warnings of past and probable current suicide attempts. Alec is very unstable. He has depression, and maybe PTSD. I'm not 100% sure. But he does take drugs, and he goes into sort of like, not fugue states, and I think the drugs enhance it, where he thinks people are coming to get him. And St. Vier even says he has attempted to hurt himself because he always has cuts and stuff like that. Let's see what else. It's the weird thing is that almost all the men are gay or bi, and the women that are in here, they're all straight. There's like no homosexual women, which is weird in a society where all the men are gay or bi. Let's see what else. Yeah, it's a lot of politics, and then at some point Alec gets kidnapped, which is a very bad move if you know who he is with. And there is a threat of rape, kind of, because the guy that kidnaps him is like, I want what St. Vier has, and what St. Vier has is Alec. And I think Alec might have done it, but I'm not sure. It's sort of left ambiguous, so I'd watch out for that. And yeah, it was a very good book. It was pretty short. The world building was interesting. The mystery surrounding Alec was interesting. And then, because St. Vier protects Alec for free, Alec gets like really hot because he's always asking Richard, did you kill someone today? So that's pretty funny. That might also be a part of his depression. But yeah, they have a nice little, it's not, I guess it is a romance, but it's a cute little book. I'd recommend it. So I always like to make notes about trigger warnings and stuff, because I don't want people to be uncomfortable. Okay, next we have Arrow's Flight by Mercedes Lackey, the second in the Heralds of Valdemar. There's more politics in this one. It follows directly after the second one. Talia is the Queen's herald, and she's very young, and she's good at her job, and she has a power for empathy. And she's very sensitive because of that. And I was just confused because she's the Queen's own herald, and her job is to protect the Queen and the heir to the throne. But they make her go off for a year? I would have thought she would have been better off suited. I know all heralds in this universe have to go off for a year, but I would have thought she'd have been better suited staying at the court and learning that political intrigue. And in this is LGBT friendly. There are no trans people in it that I'm aware of, but there are lesbians, gays, bis, straights, and they have there's a special word for it. It's like your true love type of thing, and when you see that person, the gender doesn't particularly matter, and you can have 2 people or 3 people in a relationship. But it's very hard for heralds to find love because their companions always come first, and then their duty to the Queen. And so Talia goes off with her her, I guess he is like a teacher, Chris, and they go off along the border of where is it? It's the border something or other. And Talia grew up out there, so she's sort of used to everything, and Chris isn't. And then they are stuck in the snow, actually, for a lot of the book, and it's not great because earlier in the book, Chris says that he's heard rumors that Talia is using her gift for empathy to like influence her charge, whose name I've forgotten, but the heir to the throne. And so Talia then starts doubting herself, which makes her gift freak the fuck out, and she can barely like even do her job in these towns because she can just sense all of the emotions coming off these people. But her and Chris figure it out, and they find out she basically had no training, so he retrains her and she gets better at it. And there are sexy times in this between her and Chris. Nothing overt, but they are there. And there's also, Talia explains some of her past, and there is abuse in there from her brother and basically the rest of her family. She's like the odd one out in there. And it just ends with them, you know, doing their jobs and going back to the school where all the heralds are. So, and I believe that's where the third one picks up. So it was a lot quicker to read than I remember the first book being, but a lot of it they were literally stuck in the snow. So excuse me while I take a drink. Talking makes me thirsty. Okay. Gotta pull all my notes off. They're just on little sticky pads. Next we have Siege and Storm, the second in the Grishaverse, and Alina and Mal are on the run, but pretty early on get captured by the Darkling. So that's not a spoiler. But you know, the pretty not pretty trope is here. Like, Alina thinks, oh my god, I'm so ugly, when she's really not. There's pirates, there's Sturmhond, I think that's how you say it, who I guess this is spoilers, because it's probably well, it's about like 143, so maybe like a first third of the book. It is revealed that Sturmhond is in fact Prince Nikolai. Where's his name? Nikolai Landstoff, the younger prince, and he has come back with Alina to basically take over the kingdom, because his father is a piece of shit and his brother is a piece of shit. So his father's too weak and he likes to fuck the servant girls, which is disgusting, and his brother is shaping up to be the same way. And he even asks Alina to marry him as like, look, you're the sun summoner, I'm the king, or the prince, let's do it. But she says no. And I was actually surprised, because I know people like the Darkling and I'm not 100% sure why, because he's a fucking creepy asshole. And I'm not sure why people like Mal either, because he's kind of boring. Well, Alina is kind of boring too. They're both very annoying, and I don't care about... They're not annoying separately, they're annoying together, and I don't care about their romance, because they both get jealous so easily. It's so stupid. And why would you pick Mal or the Darkling when Nikolai is right the fuck there? He's a prince, okay? He's clearly gonna be the king, because I have a book where he's the king. He's smart. He's funny. Yeah, he's got issues, but who doesn't have issues? I would pick him in a heartbeat. And she also gets, the dragon is important. It is her second, thingy that makes her powers better. It is a dragon scale, so R.I.P. dragon. And then Alina is in charge of all the Grisha, and she doesn't get the politics. Like, I understand because she was never supposed to, but she, like, it takes her a very long time to even try, and then when she starts having problems, she won't talk to Mal about them. That's like the only person she can trust. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And then they both get jealous, like I said, and they sort of break up, and it's just a fucking mess. And then Nikolai's brother fucks up absolutely, right? He fucks up even more than Nikolai thought he could fuck up. Excuse me. That's what Soda does. And basically destroys everything that they were working for. And that is essentially how that ends, with everybody hiding and on the run. Because the Darkling essentially has won. And I'm mad they haven't even cast Nikolai yet. Well, I guess season 1 of the show is supposed to be book 1. And Nikolai doesn't show up till book 2. But come on, give it to me. I love him. I want more. So yeah, I am excited to read the 3rd book. And then I get to read about Nikolai. And next we have a history. It's The Conquering Family, Part 1. I'm not going to hold it up because it's just a plain red cover. It is the history of the Plantagenets from Henry II to John. It also covers Henry's mother, Empress Matilda. And it starts as it ends. It talks shit about King John, basically from the opening pages until the end, which is, I mean, he gets dragged even before his chapters, and he deserves it. He was an asshole occasionally. I mean, it's unbiased. It's like, he was an asshole, but he did show moments of greatness. And it was very interesting to me. It opened with Eleanor about calling her a harridan, which is like a bitchy woman, basically. But then it goes that she was awesome. And I'm like, yeah, she was awesome. Stephen and Matilda also get dragged. And basically all the Plantagenets are roasted in this book, as they should be. It talks about their temper and their tendency towards fatness if they are inactive. And that sort of reminded me of the Tudors, Henry VIII at least. I don't know if Henry VII ever got fat, but I know him and Elizabeth and Mary had horrible tempers. And I think the Tudors married a Plantagenet? Question mark? Don't quote me. And let's see. Richard I, like what most people, and then they talk about Richard I a lot, and it's not like he was in Robin Hood. He was a fucking asshole. He's basically the boogeyman of the Holy Land, and it was like, if you don't eat all of your vegetables, Richard I is gonna come and chop your head off. I don't know if it's still like that, or if that has ended. And then, yeah, even the French kings get roasted. Eleanor's first husband, Louis the whatever, was dull, I believe is what the book says. And that's a big oof from me. I mean, he was dull. He was very dull and boring. Philip, his only son, also gets roasted. And then I was like, there were some great last names in here. Strongbow and Longbow. And I'm like, whatever happened to those kinds of last names? But yeah, it's just essentially a history of the Plantagenets and how they fucked up. How they had everything and how King John lost everything. And of course there's a bunch of chapters about Henry II and Thomas Becket. Becket isn't even spared. And I would really I should read a biography of him, because I would be fascinated to know how he went from being Henry's best friend and being just as extravagant as Henry to like being not a hermit, but like he like didn't want any of the rich trappings when he became archbishop, because it seems like a complete 180, and there has to be like a slow progression somewhere. So they didn't talk about that in this. But yeah, it was a good history. It was actually a pretty quick read. None of the chapters were too long or anything. So yeah, we'll have to see if I can get the second one. I got that from my aunt, but now I can't go see anybody still. And here's our last book. It's very shiny. It is War Crimes, World of Warcraft. Garrosh is on trial. This is after Mists of Pandaria. And they've caught Garrosh, and Varian did not let Thrall kill him. They've put him on trial. Basically, everybody wants to be the prosecutor, and nobody wants to be the defender, or the defense. They say defender and accuser in the books, so... But poor Bane Bloodhoof gets the job of defending Garrosh, and Tyrande Whisperwind is his accuser, and he's accused of a lot of things that even I didn't know about. Murder a bunch of times, slavery, forced pregnancy of dragons, which is gross, and a bunch of other things. And it's sort of like the setup for, like, it shows Sylvanas beginning to turn. It shows Anduin growing to be kingly. And the Anduin-Raytheon friendship is also very nice, even though I think that has changed in the current expansion. And it doesn't make Garrosh any more likable. As far as I'm concerned, he only did one good thing. In the game, if you play as a horde, there's a quest in... what is it? Stone Talon Mountains, I want to say. And you're working with this guy, and he drops a bomb, like an actual bomb, on this little Tauren outpost, because he took Garrosh's statement too far, and Garrosh shows up and yeets him off a cliff. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then Garrosh uses a mana bomb on Theramore and kills a lot of people. And I'm like, this is poor characterization. Somewhere along the way, they lost the plot to what Garrosh was supposed to be, and he's turned into a fucking dickhead. And it's worse because there are plans to help Garrosh get out of his prison. And then at the end of the book, he doesn't even give a shit. He doesn't even feel the least bit sorry by what he's done. And the whole point was that Bane was defending him, saying people could change, you don't have to kill him. Garrosh did not change. It was disgusting. I was getting nervous reading it, like, oh god, is this person gonna die, even though I know what happens. And there were two great parts to me. So it's a trial, and they call witnesses, and Tyrande calls Anduin, who faced Garrosh, and Garrosh cracked a bell, and all these bell pieces fell onto Anduin, breaking his body, essentially. And he's still in pain, and he's only like 16, 15? And he's sitting there, and Tyranda's like, do you forgive him? And he goes, yeah. And she looks at him like, what? And then she's like, would you blame the Horde? And he goes, no. And she looks at him like he's crazy. I'm like, he's Anduin. For pretty much his whole characterization, he's been like, peace, 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 peace. He's a priest. Maybe a paladin, but mostly a priest. And he's like, his teacher is Velen, the priestiest priest that could ever priest. And it's like, yeah, of course. And then they bring up Alexstrasza, who, her title is the Life Binder, by the way. And she is the dragon that Garrosh forced to get pregnant so his dragon maw orcs could ride dragons into battle. And Tyrande asks if she forgives him, and she goes, yeah, because she's the Life Binder. She likes living things. She doesn't want anything to die, and they're just all shocked by it. And I'm like, do you people not? I mean, you live in that world. I just play the game. Do you not understand these characters? So, and then at the end, I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but he breaks out, essentially, and he goes to an alternate reality Draenor where his father is still alive, and it's a whole thing. And the only thing I have to say is that when they're fighting, all the people that have come to break Garrosh out, a warlock has one of their minions, a fellhound, come out and fight, and they call it a good puppy, and fellhounds are good puppies. So, yes, I liked the book. It was interesting. All the characters were great, and it's a lot... I think maybe I like the world better when I read the books, because it gives, like, if you just play the games, you're not really understanding how Garrosh got from prison to alternate reality Draenor, but in the book it explains it. So yes, those are all the books that I read. I will have I don't think I have as many books for June, but we'll see. So, there we go. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.